love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
And welcome to, as always, a special edition of the Dana White Contender Series breakdown here with UFC Addicts. My name is Aaron, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Leyton, and we're here to break down this week of Dana White's Contender Series, Season 3, Episode 5. As always, I'm here with my co-host, Leyton. You ready to do some semi-blind picking?
Let's do it. Let's jump straight into it.
All right. We start out at 145 here with a matchup between a former Ultimate Fighter and Billy Quarantillo, and he's facing off against Kamuela. Kirk, the Jawaiian is his nickname, so I will be breaking down Billy Quarantillo. He is a 5'10", 30-year-old 145er. He's 11-2 overall, 3 TKOs, 4 submissions. From what I could find, he's a decently well-rounded guy, especially considering he comes out of Gracie's camp. He likes to stand up a little bit and not immediately go to the ground. His style is pretty crowd-pleasing and some decent skill, as I said. One of his fights that I got to watch, he hurt his opponent on the feet early and then locked in the rear naked choke with no hooks, and that happened inside a minute. So the guy gave up his neck for a split second, and this guy right away goes for submission. So doesn't really care about position necessarily, but also gets away with it with some of the guys he's probably faced. But yeah, he's got a good killer instinct. I do think he could struggle on his feet and struggle in shooting for a takedown. He's not the biggest, most physically imposing guy. But he's got a nice aggressive attack from his guard, lands shots, threatens with subs. He made a guy quit in between rounds in a championship fight. And yeah, he's not the most technical. And he's kind of 145 for this fight. I think a lot of his fights have been 155. So seems like he's facing kind of an unconventional guy in Kamuela. So, but like I said, Billy's been shown to be hittable at times, so he could be stopped. But I'll take Billy Q for a decision win, grinding.
Nice. Okay, Kamuela Kirk comes into this fight 9 wins, 2 losses as a pro. And I'll be completely honest with you, Brooks, man. I've watched some fights with this guy, and this guy has really impressed me in some of his fights. I'm going to make a statement that's a little bit too far-fetched, but it's just what I felt watching him in his fights. This guy reminds me of Conor McGregor. Now, like I said, that's a little too far-fetched, but just in his fights, man, the way he measures range, the spinning kicks to the body, the calf kicks, the kicks to the knees, he'll go high with the kick, and just his hands, man, the way he measures range, just it reminds me of Conor McGregor. As for grappling, he's been grappling since he was like 7 or 8 years old, rolling in jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this guy. Your breakdown with Billy was pretty spot on. He was on The Ultimate Fighter, so, he's doing okay. This is a decent matchup for both guys. Billy could be the stronger, bigger guy, stepping down from 55 like you said. But as for striking, if I'm picking based on striking here, I'm going to have to take Kirk. So yeah, we're gonna start this one with a disagreement. I'm going to take Kirk via decision.
All right, fair enough. Wrestler versus the striker, kind of, or grappler versus striker. All right.
Have we got any odds for this one?
I don't have any. Let's see. I don't believe there's any odds. They don't seem to come out at least over here till the day before.
Yeah, that sucks.
So,
all right. Oh well.
Yeah, I would assume. It should be a close one though.
Okay, moving on to the second one. We have Jamel Hill versus Alexander Poppeck, and I'll be breaking down the European. Comes into this fight 9 wins, 2 losses as a pro, same as Kirk. Fighting out of Munich, Germany. He's 6'3" for a light heavyweight. And from what I've seen, he's a very dangerous light heavyweight in that first round. If you can take him out of the first round, he slows down quite a lot. But yeah, just a well-rounded guy who is very dangerous for the first round from what I'm seeing. The guy you're breaking down, I'm sure you would have seen his performance against one of your favourites in Daquan. I believe that's the exact reason why he's on the Contender series. It was a very good performance. Got rocked a couple of times, I believe. But for 25 minutes, he looked very good, conditioned very well, Jamel Hill. So yeah, putting two and two together, Poppeck is very dangerous for a round. If Jamel Hill can take him out of the first round, I see him winning the second and third round pretty clearly. So yeah, that's what I'm going to roll with here. I'm going to take Jamel Hill via decision.
All right. Pretty spot on breakdown. I'll be breaking down Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. The 28-year-old is 6'4", 205er. He's 5-0. He does have a win in 5 rounds over Daquan Townsend, where it was definitely back and forth. Other than that, pretty unnotable wins, to be honest. He is from regional circuit in Michigan, so I'm somewhat familiar with that. And Michigan's got ways to go still with their amateur MMA scene. So coming out there isn't the most notable, but there's been a few guys. But honestly, with Hill, it looks like he's pretty basic with boxing and takedowns. He's effective with it. I think he'll be the bigger, stronger guy, and that I think will be a difference in a smaller octagon. So I actually have a finish in round 2 for Jamal Hall, but I could see taking over in round 2 and 3 also. But I'll say second round TKO for Jamal Sweet Dreams Hall, and possibly getting back into the UFC. And I think it would make sense if he does make it to match him right up with Daquan Townsend, actually, in a rematch. So we'll see if that comes down the line. But yeah, I think we agree here. So I'll take Jamal Hall as well. He's 5-0, so that's one of the things that holds me back from being super confident. But yeah, I think he's going to be more athletic, stronger, and the smaller octagon will help him out. So
nice.
Yeah, we're moving on to the next fight of the night, which I think is, I think this will be, one of the better fights of the night, actually. Between Kristen Lohsen, I believe it's Christian Hollywood Lohsen, and JJ, the Bosnian bomber Okanovich. I'll be breaking down Kristen Lohsen. All right. Mr. Hollywood is 24 years old. He is a 6'2", 155er. 7-1, 6 submissions, so pretty easy to break down. He's a submission specialist and starts most of his fights trying to use his striking, but kind of once things go a little bit south, he goes for the submissions. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Lance Lawrence from last week. Tall guy, throws from distance a lot. They're kind of looping shots, not the most explosive in regards to striking or wrestling. But once he gets you down to the ground, I feel like you're in pretty big trouble. So I think that if he struggles, he'll get beat up and possibly stopped. So he's fought really bad competition so far. And the one adequate guy he took on went to a decision. I think JJ's been way more tested, and fighting AKA, I gotta imagine he's gonna be prepped for this fight. So I'll take JJ to get a TKO in round 1, actually. So I just think JJ, although he lost his professional debut, he hasn't lost since then, and I think he's just prepared himself much better, coming out of a better camp, and yeah, I just think it mirrors a lot the Seiler Lawrence fight from last week to me.
Fair play. Okay, JJ Okanovich comes into this fight 6 wins, 1 loss as a pro. And yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I see this being a grappling match for the most part, in the small octagon as well. Both guys are submitting guys. So yeah, I see them grappling, to be honest. You said he trains out of Team AKA. I did see that as well. So maybe that's the difference in the grappling, just knowing an extra trick or two. Yeah, so stylistically, it's a good fight. Both guys are grapplers. yeah, we had that fight a couple weeks ago, that Wallace versus Selecki fight, and they were both grapplers, and I said Wallace looks a better grappler, and that was just so far off. So yeah, it's very hard, deciding which guy's more advanced on limited tape. But I have seen the same things as you have. I think JJ Okanovich is, his striking's pretty decent as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna stick with Okanovich. He has fought in Bellator as well. The competition not the best, but same with Christian. The competition not the best. But yeah, I think that camp could be the difference. He's training around a lot of high level guys. And that's maybe the difference. Maybe he knows a trick or two more. So I'll take JJ Okanovich. I'm going to take him to get a submission in round number 2.
Okay, fair enough. So just the one disagreement so far.
There we go.
Go ahead and lead us into the next one here.
Okay, fight number 4. We have... here we go. Ramazan Kuramagomedov. And I said that about 8 or 9 times throughout this week, and my girlfriend's just been going crazy because I've been saying it wrong all week. I probably said it wrong there, but yeah, we've got that Russian guy versus Jordan Williams. And I'll be breaking down Jordan Williams, so, I'll give you a go on his name. Jordan Williams, 8-2 as a pro. This will be his second time on the Contender series. He got a nice ground and pound finish in his first appearance. But one thing I really noticed after that first round was he was just exhausted. Jordan Williams was exhausted grappling. And, that's never good to see. He put his hands on top of the cage and, he was just exhausted. Granted, he got the win first time round. But conditioning didn't look the best. Ramazan, this Russian guy, 5 fights, and he's grappling in all of his fights, and he looks like a strong grappler. So yeah, once again, it's the small octagon. I see there being grappling. In these small octagons, there's always grappling pretty much. And yeah, I see that being the case again. So maybe they've got this Russian grappling guy coming on the Contender series. They know what they want to see. So yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I think Ramazan's gonna clinch a lot, and Jordan Williams isn't gonna be able to keep up with the pace. So I'm gonna take a decision for Ramazan.
Okay. All right, I'll be breaking down the Doznian, whatever, Ramazan Kuramagomedov. That is my only attempt at that name.
Yeah, pretty much nailed it.
And he's 6 foot 170er. He's 5-0. He had a fight in PFL that was very not notable against a decent striker in Robert Hale, who's pretty similar to what Jordan Williams will come to offer. I think it's going to be a pretty similar fight. Kuramagomedov's stand-up is pretty rudimentary. He's a tough Russian. He's faced good competition throughout his career. I think Jordan Williams can be more dynamic on the feet, but I'm just not sure his wrestling is good enough. Williams did fail a marijuana test. That's why he didn't have that Contender Series win count, and I think he did on super short notice too. So I'd expect his conditioning to be better here, but I see it as him kind of holding on for a decision, unfortunately. I think Williams' best chance is an early TKO. Otherwise, I see him getting pretty grinded out by Kuramagomedov. So I'll take Kuramagomedov by decision, and I expect him to have inflated lines throughout his UFC career because of how his name ends.
Fair play. Okay.
I bet he's the biggest favorite on the card tomorrow. Or Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this. So
I mean, when you've got that Medov and you got that Russian flag and you look like a Russian,
and you're undefeated. Russians are great until they've lost a fight. Yeah. I mean, Sarabek, Safarov came in undefeated, and all these others. So who knows how
wasn't it Antigulov in Russia who got dropped by was it Lord Juicer, and it looked like a pillow shot, like a feather punch.
That was and he came in all hyped up. So Who knows? Let's move on to the new main event of the evening. You're going to be telling me about this opponent because I've done no research on him. I will be breaking down Terrence McKinney, and he's facing off against who's his new opponent now?
Sean Woodson.
Sean Woodson, the sniper, Sean Woodson. So I guess that lets me know this is a grappler versus striker affair. So we'll see. I'll be breaking down T-Rex Terrence McKinney, who I was originally breaking down as the opponent to my guy. He's 7-1 overall, 6 submissions, I believe, in those 7 wins. He fights out Sick Jitsu, which is a pretty decent camp, actually. But honestly, it's hard to find a lot on this kid. He's only 24. Obviously has a good submission game. I think he has good size for the division. Killer Instinct appears pretty good, but is against pretty inferior competition as of now. Definitely has a BJJ base. He has some decent amateur experience as well. But like I said, he's submitted cans, but he's facing a guy who's 5-5 here. So it appears he's being done a favor by the late replacement here. So I'll say McKinney round 1 submission. Like I said, he's looked pretty good for the division. Looks like his stand-up's decent, but his subs are really good, and that's how he's finishing guys. So I think it starts on the feet, quickly goes to the ground, and it's over before end of round 1 for T-Rex Terrence McKinney.
Nice. Okay, let me tell you about this guy. Sean Woodson comes into this fight 5-0 as a pro. He started his career at middleweight, then dropped down to lightweight, and then his last 2 fights have been at 145. So yeah, watching the guy fight, you can see he's not naturally a featherweight. He's 6'2" at 145. He's an extremely long guy for the division. He likes to use his jab a lot, and he also likes to use the 1-2 a lot. So I can see how his name's the Sniper. I didn't even know that. So yeah, you know, I'm watching this guy fight, and it looks very abnormal. It looks worse than James Vick at 155. He's an extremely skinny guy at 145. His legs are extremely skinny. I've even seen him leg kicked to the ground a couple times in those 5 fights. It looks very strange, you know, a guy this big fighting at 145 who just looks mainly skeletal. It's a bit weird. But yeah, you know, he's having success through the jab and the 1-2s and the length of his frame at 145. So looking at Terrence, he's naturally a 145er. He looks strong at 145. Yeah, just all round frame, you know, definitely a 145er. And Sean Woodson, he looks very compromised. He looks like he can be hurt very easily. Like I said, the length of him is a problem for some guys, but I don't see it being a problem for Terrence. Yeah, I basically see the same thing as you. I think Terrence is a good wrestler. I think he's able to even shoot in on Sean's legs. And I see there being a submission as well. So I'll take a round 2 submission for Terrence McKinney.
Yeah, fair enough. And I misread his record. I thought it said 5-5. It's 5-0. So I stick with my pick. I think the skinny legs, he can get those down. And
I mean, he started his career at middleweight, and now he's just randomly at 145.
Yeah, it's really, and on short notice too. So I'm sure he won't be cutting the weight too cleanly here. So we got one disagreement here this week. Last week, I don't know how we did. I think we both went like 3-2.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So we continue with our educated picks here. This week it was my fault with it getting up late with wedding season. So I am back in town starting tomorrow. So we'll be back.
Baby.
We'll probably record before the Contender series for that shitty ass card that is UFC 240. So I'll tell you how I really feel. It's terrible. But anyways, glad we got this up. Enjoy the fights tomorrow, and I am out. Peace.
Yep. Appreciate you all, guys. Peace.